Hello, welcome to Slate Against the Machine with Fae Pictures. We are here to talk about the film industry, pulling the curtain back. Why do you want to do it? Why on earth do you want to do this? It's insane. But we want to give emerging and underrepresented filmmakers the tools to get started and thrive. If you possibly can in this contracting industry that we are currently all dying in. But if you didn't hear the previous episode, we were talking about pre-production, fun stuff like unions and contracts and cast and crew grids and all stuff you should know. So go back and listen to that episode. Or if you want to just dive into this one, that's fine too. It can be like a Tarantino movie, just completely out of order. But before we get started, let's get some introductions out of the way so you know who is here. Let's start with the reason why Fae Pictures exists to begin with. Melissa, please.
Yes. I own Fae Pictures. I am Shant Joshi. No, I am the coordinator at Fae Pictures.
But you are the reason why we're here. Like, if you were not here, we would all fall apart. Nothing
Genuinely, that is true.
I am the coordinator at Fae Pictures, which does make sense as to why everyone would fall apart without me. And I'm excited to be here. This is my now second episode. Very excited to hear everybody and all the things we have to say.
Cool. And Shant, the El Presidente.
I am El Presidente Shant Joshi of Fae Pictures. I run this company with the assistance of my amazing team, many of whom are here and many of whom are also not here. Having Passover dinner.
Yes. Important stuff. It's important stuff. And of course, my boss, the wind beneath my wings, VP of development, Abdul is looking at something. I don't know what's happening.
Hello. I didn't see you there. Wow. Great to meet you.
The way that he glitched also.
I thought Abdul was picking his teeth. I thought that's what he was doing.
Everybody has a story to tell.
I have a ball mouth, so I use toothpicks to clean the rollers. But yeah, I didn't see you there. Wow, what a great meeting among friends. I literally just awkwardly turned around waiting to set that up for
Yeah, I know. I saw you waiting.
I was looking at you.
I was like, Abdul, your screen is not there, but I'm
For
sure
those who are listening at home and didn't have that visual, Abdul had turned around and then
he swiveled in his chair, is what he did.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, I guess I'm the VP of development at Fae Pictures. I'm currently on deadline for a script on Monday, and Shant has put a gun to my head to be here. I also
a bone saw to your arm, but that's
a bone saw to my arm. It's not that script, thank God. That script's done. The second I'm paid, I can finally tell their business affairs guy in the Middle East how I feel about him. But
because he doesn't have enough problems.
Right? Yeah, I hope his problems increase tenfold.
Oh my God, I'm joking.
But yeah, so all that said, I had to be on this episode because it was very important to me that our admin, as our local union rep, our admin has some protection from the boss in environments where, they might say something that could get them fired. Shant, we will be having a meeting about grievance procedure later. Melissa, I'm serious. You can unionize as a shop of one. You absolutely can. Who's on payroll? Who's actually on payroll right now? It's you, Lindsay, and
no, Lindsay's not. Nope,
it's just you.
It's you and Lisa.
No, Lisa's not on payroll.
Oh, it's just you.
Yo, yeah, you can unionize. Do it, fucking do it. I'll give you the number of the guy to call.
I need you to understand, all the listeners out there. This is a daily conversation I have with Abdul. Daily, and I go, Shant is my boss. I can't do that, and he's like, yes, you can, and I'm like. I'm just trying to work.
I had a friend 2 years ago just unionized a shop of one. It's actually, you literally make a phone call, they send you a card, you sign it. It's so easy. Melissa.
Oh my god, I love. By the way, one of Abdul's scripts, it's called Salt, and it's basically about somebody just trying to start a union, and we're getting a live rendition right now.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, so
but,
you can be the union salt here. Well, no, I'll get, once you hire Mira full time, if you ever do, I'll get Mira to be my salt.
Amazing.
It'll be great.
But to continue on what we were talking about from the last episode, we're going to move on to something that is important. It's something that every production needs, something that no production wants to ever have to use. It's very similar to nuclear weapons. So I am, of course, talking about insurance. And we need it. But why do we need it? Who wants to say? Why do we need it?
Because if someone gets Alec Baldwin on your production, I say that with as much respect as you can say, and you are not the guy who created the conditions for that to happen, you probably need to protect yourself very intensely. If, say, a realtor sues you for stealing their sign and misrepresenting their business, you definitely want to have insurance in case you get sued. If you take someone's name, I don't know, let's say, and then someone sued with the same name sues you for defamation because you didn't get that name cleared, right? Then you need to be able to protect yourself.
So Abdul is talking about two different types of insurance. So I just want to clarify because Abdul is talking about insurance en masse. There's two main types of insurance, or sort of three. So the one that relates to using names, using places, using intellectual property, and making sure that your usage of that intellectual property, whether it be music, whether it be video, whether it be other people's work, whether it be whatever it is, there's what's called errors and omissions insurance. And that error, in order to obtain that errors and omissions insurance, you basically have to have a very clean chain of title, as we discussed in previous episode, but also a clean production that ultimately has very little, if at all, incidental appearances of any unlicensed dialogue. So did you mention a specific person's name? Did you defame anyone? You basically have to not be
insurance, Shant.
You basically have to be not suable. A lawyer has to review your whole film and make sure you are already not suable in order for you to even get that insurance. And that insurance covers you if you made a whoopsie daisy and you were like, oh, I thought I was able to, have a Raptors jersey in my shot because I was so nice to the Raptors and I'm a big Raptors fan. And then the Raptors come back at you and say, no, you need to pay for that. Or no, I'm suing you because you're defaming the Raptors or whatever.
Why am I catching strays here, motherfucker?
Well, listen, if you had known that you needed clearance for the Raptors jersey, you would get the Raptors jersey in the shot, and it's not in the shot because you did not tell me that we needed
jersey. You read the script. Art would have broken it down. I will say, I did repeat to several departments.
Except for me. You didn't speak to me.
I did
I'm
repeat
the one who gets the
a
clearances.
purple jersey.
Yes.
It did not need to be a Raptors jersey. It needed to be Raptors-esque.
We got a purple jersey, but by the time we actually got in touch with the Raptors and we were just about to get the clearance, but by the time that happened, we'd already shot the scene. Which means
fuck.
I know.
Yeah, well, that's a VFX comp. Get the clearance anyway. We're good. We can just put
That's not a VFX comp. We can't just fix that with VFX. Our VFX, as someone who's...
I'll fix it in VFX. I have After Effects. Give me the shot.
All right. Let it be said that Abdul, the Union Crusader, has just volunteered to work on this production for free. And
do VFX artists have a fucking union? No.
Well,
that's true.
Yes. Anyways,
that's what happens when you're not part of a union. Somebody can just go in and be like, I'm going to undercut you.
Some Indian guy could just take your job, right?
Now, is there any insurance for such an event? What types of insurance are there?
So there's the errors and emissions insurance. Then there's production insurance. Melissa, do you want to talk a little bit about production insurance? What does it entail? How much are you paying for it? What coverage do you usually get on production insurance?
Oh boy, I don't know why you passed this to me. Production insurance is basically just the standard of like, hey, are you insuring your crew? Are you insuring the equipment? Are you insuring the location you're in? Is this all good and ready to go for production? That's essentially what you're doing. And
in case what happens? And so why do we get the insurance?
In case of damage, in case someone hurts themselves on set, in case, you're in a house and there's a light and it goes boop and it hits the wall and scratches it and maybe the light breaks. What do you do? What do you do in those situations? And basically, usually production insurance kind of you can get different types and you can get it from different insurers. But essentially, it's supposed to basically wrap up everything being like, okay, you are insured for this much money of damages and or loss.
Yeah. So there's just to talk through quickly the premium deductible process. Basically, you pay a nominal amount up front, premium, basically about $1,000, maybe $2,000, maybe $6,000, maybe $5,000, depending on the size of your production, based on the size of your budget. Based on that size, an insurer will quote you and say, this is how much it'll cost to buy our insurance. Once you've purchased the insurance, something happens, a claim occurs. An adjuster comes in, assesses the claim, and says, this claim is worth $10,000. Now, you don't have that money in your budget to spend $10,000 on that claim. You do, however, or you should have some money sitting around in your contingency to say, okay, the deductible, which is $2,500 or $1,000, I'll pay the deductible, and the insurance will cover the remaining sum of the payable, basically. But the insurance, in order to get the insurance, you have to be a well-oiled machine, a production that the insurer wants to insure, because if you are an irresponsible producer, the insurer will not want to insure you, or they will charge you more upfront for buying their insurance.
Yeah. Now, and insurance costs money. So, as an emerging filmmaker who doesn't have a lot of money, would you have the option to say, piggyback on the insurance of a larger production company?
Yes. However, you have to do it very, very carefully and very, very legally. So the way it works is basically... Okay. Well, then. So smaller productions that have a very small budget, that aren't doing a large volume of production, will go to a production company that has an annual policy. So Fae Pictures, we have an annual policy. We pay about $2,000, $3,000 a year, basically, in our annual policy. It's a lot of money to cover, and we may not have that volume of production, but we do keep it on a consistent basis, just in case we start production at any point in any year, and we just need to start production. We need something to cover us, basically. So smaller productions will come to us and they'll say, "Hey, we want to work under your parent company, and we want to do a production under your company." So in order for that to work, that production company has to look at that whole production and make their own assessment, because ultimately the liability will fall on the production company. So if the production company is not effectively vetted and effectively reviewed and is participating in some way and form in that production to ensure that things are moving smoothly, basically, and nothing breaks, or everything's being done safely, then they're setting themselves up for risk and liability. So whenever a production company decides to onboard a production for the purposes of including them under their policy, that production company has to make an effective assessment of risk, because ultimately the production company will be liable for any risk to the insurance, and the insurance will be expecting that the production company is vetted and validated to do that. Otherwise, if I willy-nilly start handing out insurance to different people and say, "Hey, yeah, go ahead, go take my insurance, here's the certificates," all that kind of stuff, and they start making claims, then I will be seen as a bad liability to the insurer, and they will either increase my premiums or not want
cancel
cancel my policy, or not want me to purchase. Say we don't want to sell a USR policy.
You should always get insurance. Like, I'll give you an example from film school, where, if I remember this correctly, like, there was a shoot in, like, an old folks home, like a senior center, where, like, the things you would never expect could happen, like you're shooting after hours in a gym, and someone raised a light too high, and it turns out the smoke detectors in that senior center are way too sensitive, and then it triggers a fire alarm, which then triggers like a massive like fire call, right? And then it's a false alarm, so you have to pay them. Like you get penalized for this, and then that becomes an insurance thing, right? Like something nobody could have predicted, literally at any step of that process, because everything was still above board and catastrophe still happened, even though everyone was abiding by like a very strict set of rules, right? And it's like, that call becomes an insurance claim, you know what I mean? Like as part of your insurance stuff. I'll actually, before we jump topic, Shant, like we got insurance for a film that shot in an abandoned hospital in Karachi.
We did. So
what was that like?
Yeah. So what? So we were executive producing a project that was called In Flames, which shot in Karachi. And the way
it premiered at Cannes Directors Fortnight. You can now watch it on streaming as Khan's debut feature.
It's on Crave right now. Yeah, it's on Crave. It's an amazing film. It's Pakistan's Oscar entry from 2023. And the way that the insurance worked was basically because the thing is the funders, Telefilm and all the other funders, want to ensure that also they are covered under the insurance policy, that they don't collect any liability, that the production is ultimately insured. So they will ask for a certificate for themselves. And so when they reviewed our certificates, no insurer essentially in North America was interested in covering the liability or covering the insurance for a production in Pakistan, where it's a completely different set of laws. It's a completely different norm of production. It's a completely separate jurisdiction that insurance provider has no ability to effectively actually provide or enforce their insurance or participate, so even send an adjuster for that matter to assess the production. So in that case, what happens is we collect insurance policy to cover our Canadian operations, so post-production, neg and tape, all that kind of main stuff. And then we purchased an insurance policy domestic to Pakistan. And the thing is that Pakistan doesn't really have film insurance policies in the same way that we do it here in North America. So they ultimately basically had to jerry-rig an insurance policy with the insurer that looked at a North American insurance policy and said, okay, we can add these things in here and we'll cover you for these things, basically. So essentially, we got a North American sort of legitimate insurance policy from a Pakistan insurer who said, yeah, I'm willing to do that and I'm willing to cover this if you pay me the premium, basically. So
that is why Pakistan #1.
Zindabad. Yes.
Oh man. Well, let's move on from insurance because I think we've covered that pretty well. We're going to talk about accounting now. Isn't that fun? Accounting.
Super fun for me.
Yeah, isn't it? So, what's happening with you right now? We are in pre-production on a film. Melissa's going crazy.
We're not even just pre-production on a film. We're also wrapping up production.
That's also true. We're simultaneously post and pre.
while also dealing with the company itself and that AP, that accounts payable.
Melissa, you could probably bank more vacation hours with a union advocating for you. We could do stuff like time off in lieu. There's a whole suite of like additional benefits. Just saying, you can make it work.
Thank you for letting me know. Appreciate it. Well, pretty much the way that my day-to-day goes is, again, we have a certain amount of hours that I work part-time for the company, so I really try my best to prioritize what's needed. A lot of the accounting and a lot of the accounting process that I do is I work with our lovely VP of Finance. She is fantastic. Lisa is fantastic at what she does. She's the one making the cost report. She's the one making all the books in order, but I am the data entry clerk in a way. And then I also help to process the AP. It's really important, especially if you're either having a production company that goes into production quite often, or just like a producer that's like, okay, I have this film that I'm producing, and we have all this money, and we have to allocate it to certain crew and make sure they get paid on a timely manner. It's really important to have an accounting policy. That is something very key to have, where it shows, okay, crew, this is who you're invoicing, this is the company, this is what you need to put on your invoice, and then these are our stipulations. Are you net 30, which means you pay the invoice within the 30 days once you receive it? Net 60, net 90, and there's a lot of different stipulations that you can put per company or per film. But it's really good to have it all in one place, so that way crew understands how they're invoicing and how they can get paid properly. And it also ensures that, the production has done its due diligence to be like, okay, we have given you what you need. You just need to send us the proper invoice and then we can pay, type of thing. That's really important. And then I've also realized that, especially when you're working with softwares like QuickBooks, like we usually use QuickBooks for our productions. And QuickBooks itself is pretty user-friendly, but it does have its limitations, like most softwares do. I find it really important to make sure that I'm tracking all the invoices. Here are the invoices that are good to be paid. Here are the invoices that need revision, but we're still tracking it for cost reasons and understanding cost reports. But then also, once those are paid, they're coded enough, they are signed off, and I go, this is good, that I can now put it into QuickBooks. So those are kind of the big basics that you need for my position, really.
Yeah, like Sam Bankman-Fried, we as a company use QuickBooks.
Yeah, and it worked out real well for him.
So you, Zareen posted in the chat, "You give my life to Pakistan." Hell yeah, sister.
That's why I was laughing before.
So funny. Yeah, and then you also create bank accounts for the production, right, Melissa? It's your job to set up all those little accounts that hold the money, so it's not in the Fae account and stuff like that.
You're like Andy Dufresne at Shawshank. You set up all the accounts and.
Usually Lisa is the one that does make the accounts, just due to the seniority. I usually just don't. But yeah, it's really important also when you're kind of dealing with softwares like QuickBooks or others, that you make sure to have all of the coding, because usually for our Fae books, we have a set of accounts that we've made that doesn't really follow a budget, but usually for production, we use the Telefilm standard production budget, which I mentioned last episode. Plug. Go watch the last episode. Where basically we have to ensure that all of the codes that we've used for said production are within our books, so then I can basically go in, data enter, and code them to the right places. And that way, when that cost report comes out, when that general ledger comes out, where Shant or whatever line producer looks at it, they go, oh, okay, we've spent this much money in labor for production manager, and we have this much money that is our ETC, which is estimated to complete. Of just okay, we get it. We now understand what we've spent and what is still to come.
And how much we're over budget.
But that never happens.
That never happens.
We're always under budget. We're always on time.
Under budget on every project.
Yeah.
I mean, it is tax season right now, so I guess a valid question is, what documents do you need to keep to ensure that nothing goes wrong if the government comes screaming?
Every single one.
Yeah.
Knocking at your door.
I do think, Leonard, this is the next part of something we can talk about, which is clearances. Because writers have the best time with clearances. You'll be in a writer's room, the script will go to... So clearances are basically clearing names. A lot of times it is clearing names, right? There's a couple law firms. You send a script in, they'll look at these names, they'll be like, this name is there's only one person with this name and they live here. This is a lawsuit, could be a lawsuit. Or this person, there's someone with this name, it's a common name, but they do the exact job as this character. And they're the same, let's say, race or something. So there's a bit of a lawsuit there. They can say that you're doing something about them, right? And then it will be sometimes, this is my favorite one, is that the law firm will send you a list of names that are legally clearable, but it'll be like the most insane names you've ever heard. It'll be like, okay, we can't use this name. You can call them like John Braun Horowitz or some shit. Like it's always the funniest list because they're like lawyers, they're risk averse by their nature, right? But you have to understand it's a fucking racket because every time you change the names, you have to send them back,
Mm-hmm.
and they get a fee every time, and they will hold up the entire production without like if they don't get paid for their clearances on time, and they're thorough, but they're not that thorough.
Yeah. And this hour is 22 minutes. We had a few things. We had a few name things. We had like one time I think we had a phone number. And they're like, no, that's a real phone number. You're not allowed to have that. We had to change that.
That's why most phone numbers are
555. Yeah, exactly. Because they're not
exactly.
real. But every now and then we try to sneak one in and they're like, no.
Very diligent. It's funny because like on one show I was on, like like every sick person's last name is Singh, right? How the fuck are you supposed to like not do something legally actionable when like there's a sick person with this exact name who has done this exact job at some point in history? You know what I mean? Like I think it was like at least a 10 to 12 part clearance process of back and forth. Like that's how insane these things can get, and like culturally it's fucked up. Like it can get really tough and all this other stuff. And like I will say this is not good advice, don't listen to me, but like there are a lot of times where you can, especially with names, like probably disregard some of the more intense clearance suggestions if it's essential to the production. Like it is entirely at your discretion, and like you should be smart enough to suss out what is a lawyer telling you I don't want to eat the liability for telling you this is okay versus you being like, okay, I'm assuming that an 85-year-old accountant in Omaha, Nebraska, or a 30-something-year-old Italian in Vaughan, Ontario, will not come and sue me for using this name, right?
Yeah. I mean, we just had this conversation today, Shant, because we're doing a show about real people who exist and have been in the public eye quite a bit, may be dating pop stars, who knows? And we have to determine like what can we put on screen, what can we talk about, how we're not going to get sued. Is there a book we can option? Is there, like Abdul and I were talking about writing a movie about again something that happened, something that was real, and it was just like, can we write about this? And then it was like, maybe there's a long form article that you can option.
That's the project, by the way. I'm telling Jen to send to AE if we run that program.
Yeah, and that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's stuff like that where you're like, okay, like how do we cover? I mean, everything is COIA, right? Like it's cover your ass. Like everything is, you have to be like, what do I have to do to make sure this doesn't come and bite me?
Yeah. So if you want a Raptors jersey in your shot, call up Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment and hope that they pick up your call.
Like, and this is actually really important with regards to what we're talking about, because part of the pre-production process is actually your heads of department, or in this case, your very eagle-eyed producers who catch every detail all the time that are necessary for the production to run efficiently, or their hardworking, underpaid, non-union admin assistants will actually have to go before you do anything and break down a script and tag every key item and budget out that item and figure out what items you might need to clear or cost out before the production begins, motherfucker. But yeah, like, that's something. Let's talk about, like, this is actually the most obvious part of like clearances, but like cars. That is probably the best example of like the fluidity of clearances, right? Let's say you had a Ford Raptor, Shant. What would you do?
In many cases, you either call up Ford and you say, "Hey, I've got your car in this many scenes, and we would just like to clear the Ford brand." It usually takes a long time. It has to go up the chain. They have to look at the shots that it's in. and confirm it and give you clearance. In many cases, what ends up happening is either you frame out the logo, or you what's called Greeking the logo, meaning that you block any indication of the logo. One thing that sort of is a bit of a sort of flagrant, or not flagrant, let's say just obvious clearance nightmare would be a Cybertruck.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I was like, nobody knows that's yeah.
Yeah, because there's no, even if you hid the logo, there's only one design for the Cybertruck. You can't effectively or reasonably say, is this a Ford pickup truck or is this a Dodge pickup truck? No layman would be able to tell the difference. I mean, some laymen might be able to. Most would not, hopefully. I don't know. But basically, yeah, you could be able to tell, if you can tell the difference between two different cars, and as long as they're not doing anything that's legally questionable, you should be fine, basically. But if you do have logos present, you usually have to get them cleared, or Greek them out, or frame them out, or blur them out, which is just looks terrible. Or use the unlimited visual effects budget of hiring Abdul for free to do your visual effects.
Something with clearances too is like certain companies will only clear under certain conditions, right? Like Apple famously, a bad guy can never use an Apple product, right? Like that's the classic example is like on the first season of 24, you could people were able to figure out who would be the traitor based on whether or not they were using like a Windows computer or a MacBook, right? And stuff like that, which is very funny. I think with Apple TV, have they relaxed that rule? Maybe not, probably not. But like,
there's some characters who are villains that have been using Apple products, I believe. Yeah,
but only only the old ones to show that they can't afford the new ones, which only good guys can afford. Yes,
basically, exactly.
Of course. In Succession, they had like iPhones a bunch, right? And they didn't have covers on, like protectors on them, because they're rich. If they break it, they'll just buy a new one.
Fun.
Yeah. How about songs?
Yeah, songs are notoriously
in the music industry.
What's that?
Yeah, have a friend in the music industry. Be prepared to spend a lot of money. Music and songs are notoriously expensive to clear. They, usually cost upwards of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 per song, and sometimes per side. So what's called per side is you have to have get two sets of rights. One is the sync rights, and one are the master use rights or publishing rights, basically. So the sync rights are the rights to use the song in synchronization with a piece of video, basically. Use the song in association with the video is one set of rights. And then there are the master use rights, basically, which are just using the rights in general, just playing the song in any sort of capacity. So you have to buy both sets of rights because they have different rights holders and different people you have to pay. And so usually what you say is per side, you're paying usually 50-50 to each one. So if you're paying 10,000 on one side, you're paying 10,000 on the other side, or 5 per side, 6 per side, whatever it is. Yeah.
Which is why, as a writer, advice: don't write songs into the script where your narrative hangs on the need to get the rights for this song. Like there was Almost Famous, one of my favorite films. Cameron Crowe wrote a scene in which it was very important that they played "Stairway to Heaven," and then they could not get the rights to Stairway to Heaven. So this whole scene got cut. It's on the DVD extras, and basically he's like, all right, here's the scene. Just cue up Stairway to Heaven at home. And when we get to this part, press play. And then you can see the scene as it was meant, as it was written.
Okay, so I will give you a counterexample to this, and I think this is where actually creative and legal and administrative do collide like an interesting way. There is a play called John Proctor is a Villain. It's like one of the biggest Broadway plays in a long time. It's being performed all over the U.S. But one of the things is the play hinges on the song "Green Light" by Lorde. It was written to hinge on this single piece of music, which is an insane choice, by the way. However, the writer of the play got in contact with Lorde and Lorde's people and sent them a copy of the script and was like, "This is a very important play. It's about these issues. This is why the song is important. You can read it in the text of the book, right?" And Lord did not just give them a dispensation to use it for like the Broadway performance or the initial off Broadway or whatever, but every time a school or anyone ever licenses the rights to that play, they're allowed to use that song for the play. So it's like you have to make a good case to like and figure out your way to get there if you really want to use it. Maybe Cameron Crowe just didn't have that dog in him.
Maybe. I mean, what has he done? So, so let's say, all right. So we've gone through the gauntlet of, you've gotten your chain of title, everything is good. You've gotten your crew agreements, you've gotten your insurance, you've gotten your accounting policies, you've gotten clearance and legal. And now you've made it all the way to the end of production. You're done production. Now what do you got to do?
So, yes, you're editing your film. You are anticipating your color grading sessions and your sound sessions, and you're working with your post house to make that all happen. One of the other things is obviously stock footage comes into play, so you need to make sure you clear your stock footage. Your music, as Abdul just mentioned, you're doing your music composition, all that kind of stuff. You're finishing your film, you're wrapping it all up. And then finally, you decide, okay, I've got the best mix ever, the best color grade ever, the best picture cut ever, the best sound edit ever. My visual effects are amazing. I am delivering my film. Your post house or whoever delivers your film in its full and beautiful quality as a DCP, which is a digital cinema package, or as an MOV file or MP4 file or whatever file you want to put it out into the world. Are you done? God, no. There is what's called a list, a delivery list. Every broadcaster, every distributor, every sales agent that you're working with, if you want to actually go out there and monetize your film, well, it's like 30 documents, 30 deliverables that you need to make sure you get it. And this is the process of delivery, which it can take, if you don't do it right, like can take months, because you have to go back and redo a lot of things because you didn't do them during pre-production. So a lot of those stuff we're talking about doing in pre-production will help you get a lot of this stuff done. I'm just going through a delivery list right now. So in order to deliver your film to like a sales agent, you need 4 different copies of the same film, basically. What's called your picture negative, your original film, this is getting the digital side. Your digital cinema package, textless is without text, with text. Then there's what's called an M&E track, a mix and what's it called? No, it's a M&E is
Anemone?
Anemone? No, it's an M&E is, I think it's music and effects. So it's basically your entire. It's called music. It's music and effects. So it's your entire film without any of your dialogue, basically. So it's only your sound effects and your music, and that way you can dub it. So we've seen on Netflix how many times they've dubbed how many films. Is because the music and the edit is already pre-baked in there, but the dialogue has to get added in post by the Spanish or the Norwegian dubber, basically. Yeah. Then you're delivering all your masters, your standard definition, your high definition, your PALs copies, your 25 frames per second copies, your 24 frames per second copies, your 30 frames per second copies, for all the versioning of all the world, and everyone's got their own electrical field and everything.
And at Fae, obviously all the IMAX copies.
All the IMAX copies, all the DVDs and the Blu-rays.
Don't forget, we're watching In Flames and 4DX, baby.
Yeah. Your trailer textless, your trailer interpositive, your trailer text, your trailer this, is trailer elements, poster elements, subtitles, closed captioning, all your clearances, your entire chain of title, all your stills, your publicity materials, your EPK, your end credits, your paid ads, all of that stuff, so it can get versioned into how many verification from all the unions that you've been a good boy and you've done all your good deeds and everything. Your music cue sheet, all of your chain of title contracts, and your deleted scenes, your director's commentary, whatever it is, your score they want it all. It's like 6 pages of all this stuff. So you have to make sure you have collected all that stuff so that when you make delivery, it's not taking months out of your life to get it all delivered so that you can actually go out and release your film.
I wish our movies were big enough to warrant a director's commentary or just like a production commentary. Like,
we've done a lot of behind the scenes videos, though. But
it would be so much fun to just sit on like Queen Tut and just have a cathartic about that movie. You know what I mean? Or like
we can do that for a podcast episode. We can
do like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 for one of like our movies.
I still haven't seen the movie, so it would be extremely funny.
That would be great.
Well, like, what is this piece of shit? Like,
well, I think that wraps it up. I mean, we've done all the paperwork to close this thing out. We have gone through all the things you need to do to get through production without getting sued, and making being legally allowed to make money. It doesn't mean you will, but at least you won't be blocked by the law. Just your own ability and the lack of attention span of modern day audiences. Correct. So, to that end, we're going to finish this podcast off with the thing that we do every podcast is we're going to talk about what we've been watching, what other people made who have also gone through this horrific gauntlet of paperwork. So, Abdul, you're the lucky contestant. What have you been watching this?
At the time of writing, I'm watching the new season of Jury Duty.
Oh, nice.
Which is
speaking of legal.
Yeah, speaking of legal clearances, that must have been a nightmare that we know nothing about at this point at all through our experience as a company. Not one bit.
Officially, we know nothing.
It is genuinely excellent. It is shockingly good. I will also say, new season of Shrinking, fantastic.
Oh, yeah, I got to get back into that too.
Yeah, both of those shows just peak of what they're aspiring to do. And you know what? They probably deserve director's commentaries. They probably earn director's commentaries. That would be so cool. That's actually, I think, my dream as a writer is not like to win any awards. It's to have a film big enough to warrant a commentary track. You know what I mean? I will say this. If you enjoyed, before we go, if you enjoyed me and Shant's conversation, parsing through this episode about certain things, you should 100% watch The Limey with the commentary track on, because it is Steven Soderbergh, the director, and the writer, whose name I cannot remember right now, arguing the entire time about whose fault it was the movie sucked. It is incredible. It's two guys who are just passionate. My favorite moment is like there's a scene where he walks in and you hear the fight, and then he walks out with like the bag or whatever. And the writer's like, yeah, like it would have been really great to shoot it. It was scripted. When he walks in, they have a fight, and like, you sort of see his power, and it's a turn on the character. And Soderbergh's like, yeah, well, as a director, I try to avoid cliche, and create a sense of mystery and tension. And I think I communicated that several times, but ultimately, I just chose not to shoot it. Saved us money too, and it's just them going at it for like 2 hours. It's amazing in the most like catty way possible. Highly recommend.
I want to see that with the two of you.
Yeah,
on
watch party
on every movie, and it's just going to be a full hour of motherfucker. I put Raps jersey in all caps. And now we have this Timu Minnesota Vikings jersey.
We should probably do a Queen Tut commentary track. Yeah. A producer's commentary track on Queen Tut.
Incredible.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. The quote is that Len Dobbs, the writer, opens the movie with. He's like, and my friends ask me, do I like this movie? And I say, as a screenwriter, I think it's crippled. He says this with the director in the room.
Incredible. Well, thank you for listening to this podcast. If you listen to this podcast and you take all these lessons to heart, maybe one day you too will be at the level of Steve Soderbergh, where you can be berated by a writer on the record, but on a movie, starring Terrence Stamp. So you can't go wrong. But thank you so much for coming out, and come and listen or watch, or however you consume your podcasts, the next version of Slate Against the Machine. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.